What does China's military absence from this year's Red Square parade in Moscow reveal? In previous years, Chinese troops marching through Red Square alongside Russian forces offered a powerful visual, one that seemed to confirm a deepening strategic alignment between Beijing and Moscow. So naturally, their absence this year has raised questions. Is China stepping back from Russia? Has something changed in this partnership? Or is this decision linked to broader diplomatic considerations, perhaps even a potential meeting between Donald Trump and Xi Jinping? Let's unpack what's really going on. First, we need to understand the significance of the Red Square parade itself. This annual event commemorates the Soviet Union's victory in World War II, but in recent years, it has evolved into something more, a stage for Russia to showcase both its military strength and its international relationships. Participation by foreign troops, especially from major powers like China, carry symbolic weight. It sends a message. But equally important is this absence also sends a message, though often a more nuanced one. China's decision not to send troops this year does not necessarily signal a rupture in relations. Instead, it reflects a careful recalibration. In today's complex geopolitical environment, every move is measured and every symbol is scrutinized. One major factor is the broader international context. The global situation surrounding Russia has become far more sensitive in recent years. Beijing has consistently positioned itself as advocating dialogue, opposing unilateral sanctions, and calling for political solutions to conflicts. At the same time, it has been careful not to appear as directly supporting military actions. In that context, sending troops to march in Moscow could easily be interpreted, especially by Western countries, as a strong show of military alignment. By choosing not to participate, China avoids reinforcing that perception. This is not about abandoning Russia. It is about managing optics. Second, China's foreign policy today is about balance. Beijing is not dealing with just one relationship, it is managing a complex network that includes Russia, the United States, Europe, and a wide range of developing countries. Each of these relationships comes with its own expectations and pressures. A highly visible military presence in Moscow could complicate China's efforts to maintain stable ties with other major economic partners. At a time when global trade tensions, technology competition, and economic uncertainty are already high, Beijing has strong incentives to avoid actions that could escalate misunderstandings or trigger new friction. Now let's address the speculation about a possible meeting between Donald Trump and Xi Jinping. While such a meeting would certainly be significant, it's unlikely to be the sole reason behind this decision. However, it may still be part of the broader calculation. Major diplomatic engagements require careful preparation, not just in terms of policy, but also in terms of signaling. If Beijing anticipates high-level talks with Washington, it would naturally want to create a more neutral and stable diplomatic atmosphere. Skipping a high-profile military event in Moscow could help reduce potential tensions and keep the focus on dialogue rather than confrontation. Still, we should be cautious about overinterpreting this move. China's relationship with Russia is not defined by a single parade. The two countries continue to cooperate in critical areas such as energy, trade, and regional security. Their partnership is rooted in shared interests and long-term strategic considerations. At the same time, China has always emphasized that its partnerships are not alliances. Beijing prefers flexibility, maintaining strong ties with multiple partners without becoming locked into rigid blocks. This approach allows China to adapt to changing circumstances while preserving its strategic autonomy. There is also an economic dimension that cannot be ignored. China's leadership remains focused on domestic stability and long-term growth. In a world where economic risks are closely tied to geopolitical tensions, foreign policy decisions are often made with an eye toward minimizing disruption. Avoiding unnecessary controversy, especially one that could lead to sanctions or damage trade relationships, is a rational choice. From this perspective, the decision not to participate in the parade aligns with China's broader priority of maintaining a stable external environment for development. So what does all of this mean? China's absence from this year's Red Square parade is not a dramatic break with Russia, nor is it evidence of a weakening partnership. Instead, it reflects a more sophisticated and calibrated diplomatic strategy. Beijing is signaling that while it values its relationship with Moscow, it is equally committed to maintaining balance in its global engagements. It is choosing flexibility over symbolism and pragmatism over spectacle. As for the potential meeting between Donald Trump and Xi Jinping, if it does take place, it will likely focus on managing competition and preventing further deterioration in US-China relations. Issues such as trade, technology, and global security will be front and center. In that broader context, decisions like whether to participate in a military parade become part of a larger strategic picture. They are not isolated actions, but pieces of a carefully constructed narrative. In conclusion, what we are seeing is not a rupture, but a recalibration. China is navigating a complex international landscape, seeking to maintain its partnerships while avoiding unnecessary risks. And in global politics, sometimes the most important signals are not the loudest ones, but the quiet, deliberate choices that reveal a country's long-term strategy.